And honestly, the more I look at everything happening ahead of May 14, the more I think this could become one of those moments where several lives in Port Charles collapse at the exact same time. What really stands out to me first is Michael's obsession with revenge. I don't even think this is about evidence anymore. Michael may not have photos proving that Willow and Chase actually crossed a physical line, but in my opinion, that almost doesn't matter. If the pictures simply show them looking emotionally intimate or overly close, that alone could be enough to destroy reputations. And I think Michael knows exactly how dangerous perception can be. Personally, I feel like Michael is operating from pure emotional damage now rather than logic. He wants consequences. He wants humiliation. He wants Willow to feel exposed the same way he felt betrayed. What makes this even more dangerous is that Chase and Brooke Lynn's adoption case could become collateral damage in a war that technically has nothing to do with them. That's what makes this feel crueler than a normal soap revenge plot. I actually think Jacinda may unintentionally become the person who connects all the dots. If she mentions the adoption plans around the wrong people, suddenly those photos become far more explosive. Michael may realize that releasing them won't just hurt Willow, it could destroy Chase and Brooke Lynn's future as parents. And the scary part is that I'm not convinced Michael would stop himself even after realizing that. That's the version of Michael I think the show is leaning into right now. Someone who believes his pain justifies everyone else's suffering. At the same time, the private investigator's storyline feels much bigger than viewers may realize. I don't think the PI is only following Willow and Chase for romantic dirt. According to my theory, the investigator could accidentally uncover something far more dangerous involving Willow and Nina. If the PI overhears conversations about manipulating Drew or trying to strategically weaken him, that changes everything. And honestly, I think Willow may be entering the most morally gray phase of her character history. For a long time, Willow has tried to present herself as compassionate and emotionally grounded. But recently, I've started feeling like she's becoming more calculating. Not evil exactly, but desperate people slowly become capable of darker choices. If she and Nina are truly discussing ways to control Drew or work against him behind the scenes, then Willow is no longer just reacting to chaos. She's participating in it. What fascinates me is that Nina probably believes she's protecting her daughter, but in classic Port Charles fashion, protection usually turns into manipulation. I could absolutely see Nina encouraging Willow to think strategically rather than emotionally, and that advice may end up pushing Willow into decisions she never imagined herself making. Then there's Sidwell. And honestly, this is where things start feeling genuinely dangerous to me. I don't think Sidwell approaches Willow randomly. I think he sees vulnerability. He sees somebody emotionally exhausted and easy to pressure. If Sidwell really suggests eliminating Drew permanently instead of merely controlling him, then Willow could find herself standing at a terrifying crossroads. Now, do I believe Willow would intentionally become part of a murder plot? Not necessarily. But I absolutely think the writers may be setting up a scenario where Willow gets manipulated into helping with something without fully understanding the consequences until it's too late. And that would be the true tragedy. Because once somebody like Willow crosses a moral line in Port Charles, there's usually no way back to who they used to be. Meanwhile, Christina and Ethan becoming closer again feels suspiciously timed to me. On the surface, it looks warm and nostalgic, but I honestly think there's another layer underneath this storyline that hasn't been revealed yet. Part of me wonders if Christina is picking up on inconsistencies in Ethan's behavior. Maybe little comments, maybe strange disappearances, maybe reactions that don't fully add up. I have this strong feeling that Christina may slowly realize Ethan is connected to something dangerous involving Sunny. And if that's true, then Christina could end up trapped between loyalty and fear. The other possibility I keep thinking about is Blaze's return. That honestly feels very possible right now. Soap operas love emotional complications appearing at the worst possible moment, and Christina's emotional world already feels unstable. If Blaze suddenly returns while Christina is becoming emotionally dependent on Ethan's support, things could get messy incredibly fast. Personally, I think Christina is heading toward a major emotional conflict where she realizes she cannot trust the people she's leaning on. Alexis also seems positioned for heartbreak. She's working so hard to finalize Chase and Brooke Lynn's adoption paperwork, and I actually think she genuinely believes she's helping create something beautiful. That's why I suspect the reveal of those photos will hit her especially hard. I don't think Alexis will immediately assume cheating happened. She's smarter than that. But in legal situations, appearances matter. If the adoption process suddenly gets tangled in scandal, Alexis may realize that emotions and timing are enough to create disaster even without concrete proof. And honestly, I think Brooke Lynn could spiral emotionally if she believes Chase endangered their future together. What makes this storyline compelling is that everyone may technically be innocent while still destroying each other's lives. Then there's Britt, and I honestly think her scenes may become some of the saddest material in the episode. I have a feeling Britt is emotionally preparing herself for suffering again. If staying away from Cullum means losing access to treatment or support related to her condition, then Britt may believe she's choosing dignity over survival. That's heartbreaking, because Britt has always carried this emotional loneliness underneath her confidence. The way I see it, Britt probably already understands the possible outcome if her illness worsens again. And I think that fear is making her isolate herself emotionally before anyone else can hurt her first. What scares me is that soap operas often make characters accept tragedy quietly right before giving them devastating news. Jordan's storyline also feels incredibly intense right now. Physically recovering while emotionally carrying permanent scars is exactly the kind of emotional setup this show loves to use before launching somebody into revenge mode. I truly believe Jordan wants justice more than healing now. The fact that she suspects Isaiah creates immediate tension because uncertainty is more dangerous than certainty. If Jordan had proof, she'd act immediately. But suspicion creates obsession. I think Jordan may start investigating independently, and that could put her directly in danger. What really caught my attention is her possible interest in the German clinic Michael used before. That detail feels extremely important to me. I don't think the show included it casually. Maybe Jordan wants reconstructive treatment. Maybe she's desperate to erase the physical reminder of what happened to her. But emotionally, I think the scars represent something deeper: vulnerability, betrayal, and rage. And if Michael becomes connected to Jordan's recovery journey, I wonder whether their alliance could eventually create even more chaos for everyone else. Portia, meanwhile, seems caught in an impossible emotional position. She wants truth, but she also wants someone to trust. I actually think her decision to believe Isaiah could become a huge mistake later, or maybe the show is intentionally making Isaiah look guilty so viewers overlook the real culprit. That's honestly where my mind keeps going. Because in Port Charles, the obvious suspect is rarely the final answer. I also think Portia's support may emotionally anchor Isaiah at a time when everyone else doubts him. And if Isaiah truly is innocent, then watching the town slowly turn against him could become one of the more tragic arcs unfolding right now. Overall, I feel like these storylines are all connected by one central theme: desperation. Michael is desperate for revenge. Willow is desperate for control. Jordan is desperate for justice. Britt is desperate to protect herself emotionally. Christina is desperate for stability. And desperate people in soap operas almost always make catastrophic decisions. That's why I don't think May 14 will simply move plots forward. I think it may quietly position several characters toward irreversible choices that explode later. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more I wonder whether the real danger isn't any single villain at all, but the fact that nearly everyone in Port Charles is starting to believe the ends justify the means. But that's just my personal theory. I could be completely wrong. Still, if these tensions keep building the way they are now, I honestly don't see how any of these relationships survive unchanged. And the question I keep coming back to is this: when the truth finally comes out, who will actually have the most to lose?
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.